Antonio Pierce's team now.
Yeah.
With the Raiders.
Going against his old team.
Going against his old team. Daniel Jones should be back, yes? And it's Aiden O'Connell time.
Aiden O'Connell.
For the Raiders. And so, do you get the interim coach bump here? Remember, Jeff Saturday started 1-0 last year.
Against Josh McDaniels.
Against Josh McDaniels.
You don't get that bump.
So there were a couple other Josh McDaniels stats yesterday while we're talking Raiders. 22% of his career wins as a Raiders head coach came against the Patriots. 2 out of 9.
The one you sent me, what was read that one out. His record against Belichick versus his record.
And then so the next one's 55% of Josh McDaniels' wins came against the Patriots plus the Broncos.
Yeah.
3-0 against the Broncos.
Right.
And now in his career, Josh McDaniels is 3-0 against Bill Belichick.
Right.
And 0-1 against Jeff Saturday.
Yes, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's absolutely farcical.
I mean, that's what small sample sizes do. Makes sense, right?
3-0 against the greatest head coach in NFL history and 0-1 against a high school coach / TV analyst.
Yeah. With 1 week on the job.
Having blown a double-digit lead, right, against them.
Yeah.
Just stupid.
Similarly, that was the only game Saturday won, right? So 100% of Jeff Saturday's wins came against Josh McDaniels. We could play this game all day. It's very fun.
It's more fun to talk
Antonio Pierce's Raiders are favored by 1.5 here against the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, so, all right, the job for the Raiders is just don't let Dexter Lawrence ruin the game, right? We saw last week what can happen. The Raiders' offensive line isn't great, but it's not bad either. But they are kind of little lightweight and undermanned up front, and you're going up against this guy who is a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the second year in a row, and by far the best nose tackle in the NFL. Like, how the hell are you stopping that guy from ruining your game? Because right now, that's job A, B, C for this offense, is just figure out how Dexter Lawrence doesn't ruin it. Because, look, the one thing we saw from Aiden O'Connell in the game he played was his clock is too slow at the moment, right? He seizes up. He's not ready to operate at an NFL speed. And the last thing that he wants is pressure coming right up the middle of the pocket every single play. So either figure out how to stop that happening, or the pocket cannot stay stationary, right? You need to get him on the move. You need to roll him out. You need to get the pocket moving. You need anything to stop that happening, that like every time he drops back and looks up, there is a 330-pound mountain like moving in his direction.
In his lap, basically.
In his like line of sight as well, right? Like right in front of him is this moving wall collapsing in on him like Star Wars, right? Like when they're trapped in the garbage disposal thing and the walls are closing in. Like if Aiden O'Connell looks up and is trying to figure out where to go with the ball and that's the picture he's dealing with every play, forget it, game over. So figure out how to make that happen. That's literally the game for the Raiders this week.
Can we just spend the rest of the time talking Dexter Lawrence stats?
No.
Oh, because they're fun.
I know.
Oh, I was going to anyway.
It was a rhetorical question, I see.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence, who plays nose tackle predominantly for the Giants, is tied for the league lead in pressures with 44.
Really?
Yes. Dexter Lawrence, when lined up at nose tackle, has 31 pressures, by far the most in the league. The next closest people have 6, B.J. Hill and Michael Pierce.
That's a lot. I'm going to ask you a question that you may or may not have the answer to offhand, but what percentage of his snaps are lined up at nose tackle?
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Because okay, yes.
These are volume stats. He rushes from nose tackle more than anyone else.
Sure, yeah.
Everything. But this is crazy stuff. This is also one of those, if you can do it at this level, of course we're going to give you more opportunities.
Right.
When we've studied pressure, this makes intuitive sense. Pressure that comes against the center is the most detrimental to the offense. Makes sense, right? It is directly in the pocket.
Yeah.
And it gets less bad as you move out, guards and tackles. But then centers, by definition, also give up fewer pressures, which means when Dexter Lawrence has a game like last week with 14 pressures just from nose tackle, and has these other last week he had 12 from nose tackle. He also has the highest games, 8 last year in the wild card game, or 7 in the wild card game, 8 in other games, 7. Those are the most detrimental pressures to an offense. So he has these games where 20, 30, 40% of dropbacks, he is in the quarterback's lap. That is unbelievable.
Well,
So,
he's the one guy that is changing the dynamic of like what centers have to do in the game now, right? Centers have become, they all look like Alex Gibbs players, right? They're all like 285 now because you don't need a 330-pound center anymore because the teams that play a head up right over the top of Gilbert Brown nose tackle don't exist anymore. Those have gone. So now every center is starting to look like Jason Kelsey, where their primary objective is being lightweight and nimble and athletic, and all they need to do is to help out a guard every now and again and then get on the move. Now you roll up against the Giants, and Dexter Lawrence is taking these 285-pound centers and driving them back into the quarterback. So the Raiders have got Andre James at center. That guy is listed at 300 pounds. So he's going up, he's at least 30 pounds outweighed and outmuscled by Dexter Lawrence. And they can actually keep that as a one-on-one matchup in a way that other teams don't because they don't play that true nose tackle.
yeah, so 74% of his snaps are in nose tackle.
Right. So
And a lot of it is zero tech, head up on the center.
So they're making that an issue every
Yeah.
week in a way that no other team pretty much does.
Yeah, Lawrence was the second most valuable defensive tackle in the league last year using PFF WAR, second most this year. And given the role adjustment, you could argue the most valuable. You could argue defensive player of the year because, again, nose tackles, it's easier to double them. It's easier to get one or both guards to help out if needed. And he's still getting to the quarterback. So that's what I'm watching in this game.